Tally, and on this episode of Laura in the Kitchen, I'm going to show you how to make a cake from scratch. Now this was a request for one of my viewers, Diana, so I'm extra thrilled to be able to share it with you because she's making this cake for her little brother's birthday. Now of course, it's her little brother's birthday, so it has to be even more spectacular. And this is going to be a chocolate cake with a peanut butter filling and chocolate ganache. Now this is what you're going to need just for the cake. Some all-purpose flour, unsweetened cocoa powder, granulated sugar, eggs, baking powder, baking soda, salt, buttermilk, water, vegetable oil, espresso coffee, instant espresso coffee powder, and vanilla extract. Now, first thing you want to do is get your, first of all, before you even start this part, the first thing you want to do is preheat your oven to 350 degrees, and you want to make sure to butter two 9-inch cake pans and line them with some parchment paper so that it ensures that the cakes will come out easily. So, big bowl, sugar, oil, pretty much all wet ingredients. Buttermilk. Buttermilk is going to make this really, really, really light and moist. Put these out of the way. Okay, now in the water, I'm going to put a teaspoon of this instant espresso powder. Now, if you're thinking to yourself, it's a little kid's birthday party, maybe I should have put it in coffee in there. It's not enough to even taste the coffee, but it's definitely enough to give it the chocolate, more chocolate flavor. It just always wakens up the chocolate. It's delicious. And if you're worried about, the kids being all wired, I mean, you have 2 cups of sugar in the cake, so you're pretty much done with that. So just 1 teaspoon. Like I said, you won't really be able to taste it. It's definitely not enough, but it wakens up that chocolate flavor. We got those done. Cover this up. A drop of vanilla, not too much, but a ½ teaspoon. And the eggs go in. Make sure you crack your eggs into a separate bowl, because you never know when you can get a bad egg, and then obviously if you get a bad egg and you put it in there, you have to start from scratch. So, all the wet ingredients are in. All you're going to do is whisk it until it's all incorporated. Now this cake is, apart from the taste, which is delicious, it's so easy to make, and it's easy because, most cakes that I've come across, you have to, in stages, you have to add the wet ingredients with the dry ingredients. It doesn't make a difference. The only thing is, the major thing about baking cakes or any kind of baking is that you don't overmix. That's it. If you don't overmix, then you're fine. At this point, you can whisk all you want. It's fine. But when you add in your dry ingredients, that's when you have to be careful. Now we're going to add in the flour, the cocoa powder, and the salt, baking soda, and baking powder. Now, it's not usually common to add baking powder into a cake, but it's not much. It's only ½ teaspoon, and it just gives it a little extra oomph, and doesn't, if you don't want to put it in there, you don't have to. Now, this cake, this is the part where you have to be careful not to overmix. You want to make sure everything is incorporated with the wet ingredients. And then you want to just switch to a spatula. Just have about everything incorporated. Now you're going to see a few lumps, but that's fine. But like I said, you don't want to overmix. I'm switching to a spatula just to get from the bottom up if there's anything that didn't get mixed in with the whisk. Now, this is a very liquidy batter, but that's fine. This just means that your cake is going to be so moist. It's so good. You've got to trust me. Now, you want to divide this within these 2 cake pans evenly. Okay, like so. And what's going to happen is you're going to put this in your oven, at your preheated 350-degree oven, for about 35 minutes. Now, I can usually tell by just looking at it that it's done. But if you don't have that ability, all you can do is take a toothpick or like a dry piece of spaghetti, and you just insert it in the middle of the cake, and if it comes out clean with no wet batter on it, it's done. So now, shake this a little to make it a little even. Pop this in your oven for 35 minutes. My cakes have come out of the oven, and I've let these cool for 45 minutes because you want to make sure they're really cool by the time you put the frost, the filling on it, otherwise it'll start to melt. So, these are nice and cool. I'll leave them like that, and I'm going to start on to making the filling. This is so easy, but so good. Now, all you're going to need is an 8-ounce package of cream cheese, preferably the Philadelphia cream cheese. Nice and it's softened. You want to leave this at room temperature for at least 6 hours. Then you're going to need some good old smooth peanut butter. Who doesn't love peanut butter? I know I do. You're going to need a nice amount. Just like that. Another little bit in there and I want to get it out. Yeah. So good. Some powdered sugar. Some vanilla, not much. Like that. And start mixing this together. If everything is at room temperature, like your peanut butter and your cream cheese, it's very easy to mix this up. This is well incorporated. Now, for the ganache, what I did was I brought about half a cup of heavy cream up to a boil, right before boiling point, took it off the heat, put in 4 ounces of semi-sweet chocolate chips, and I've added the chocolate chips to the hot cream, but I do not stir. That's one thing you don't want to do. You don't want to stir. You want to just swirl it and leave it there for 5 minutes. So that's what I'm doing. I'm leaving it there for 5 minutes while I continue. Actually, it's been about 5 minutes, so now I can take a stir. Yep, it's been about 5 minutes. So what you want to do now is take a whisk, and you want to mix this really, really well. Now this is well mixed, so you want to leave this alone for 15 minutes so it can start to thicken. In the meantime, we're going to build the cake. Now you want to just run a small spatula or a small knife around the cake and pray that it comes out, and it did. You can see it's very moist, which is perfect. Actually, what I'm going to do, that's what I'm going to do. Taking some parchment paper, and I'm just doing that because I want to make sure that I don't get any chocolate all over my pretty cake platter. So this is a cool little trick. Next, we're going to just cut a little bit on the top because you want to make sure that this is level. Okay, now you're taking your filling, putting it over the top like that. This is pretty much when you want to have it done. You want it nice and even, but you want this around because it's going to look really rustic and beautiful. Now I'm taking the second cake, doing the same thing. Now my second layer of my cake is on top of the filling, and now I have my slightly thickened ganache. I'm going to just pour over the top, and this is going to thicken more, so don't worry about that. And you want some of it to drip over the sides because that's what makes it so beautiful, like that. How perfect is that? Now, what I love to do, I love to take little Reese's Pieces cups, cut them in half, and just decorate the top with them. One in. Final touch. Sprinkle of powdered sugar. Oh la la. Bonsoir. Look at that. Now, I'm going to take off all this parchment paper. So here you have it, guys. As you can see, it was simple to make a cake from scratch. And this is going to be super delicious. And I promise you're going to thank me for it. To get this recipe and other recipes, check out my website at www.laurainthekitchen.com. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.